This deep dive is brought to you by Tybootha. Today, we're diving into the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Ah, yes, Dispenza. He's pretty well known, isn't he? Author, speaker, really blends neuroscience, epigenetics, even quantum physics.
Exactly. It's all about exploring that mind-body connection and, how we can actually transform ourselves.
And his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, I mean, the title says a lot, right? How to lose your mind and create a new one. The
Right.
core idea is basically shifting your internal state to change your external world.
Right. So that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to pull out the key practical steps from his method, from the book, the meditations, kind of create a usable guide for you, the listener.
Sounds good. Where should we start? The problem itself.
Yeah, let's start there. He talks about this habit of being yourself. What's that really about?
Well, it's basically how we get stuck, you know? Day after day, we tend to think the same thoughts, do the same things,
Yeah.
have similar kinds of experiences, and so we feel the same familiar emotions. It becomes a cycle.
And this cycle isn't just mental, is it? It actually affects our brains.
Oh, absolutely. It strengthens certain neural pathways. Like, imagine carving grooves in your brain that your thoughts just automatically fall into. And this conditions the body. It learns to expect those same old feelings and reactions.
That makes total sense. I remember seeing something, I think it was a YouTube clip related to his work,
Yeah.
using the example of a morning routine.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. You get up, check your phone, make coffee, same order. You don't even think about it.
Right.
And these little automatic loops, they add up. They create our overall state of being, mind and body just aligned with, well, with the past, really, with old limitations.
And that makes change feel so hard because the body itself is almost resisting. It's comfortable in the familiar, even if it's not what we want.
Exactly. And, the scary statistic often mentioned, I think it was in that same source, is that by age 35,
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
something like 95% of who we are is just this set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions,
Mm-hmm.
attitudes. It's mostly subconscious programming.
95%. Wow. So you've got your conscious mind, that little 5% wanting change.
Right.
But it's fighting against this massive conditioned body-mind system, the 95%.
Precisely. It's like trying to turn a giant ship with a tiny little paddle. That's the fundamental challenge he addresses.
Okay, so that's the problem, this deep-seated habit of self. How does Dispenza suggest we even begin to break out of that? What's the foundation for change?
Well, the first thing is disrupting the old pattern intentionally. And this is where those breathing exercises come in, right from the early meditations like week 1, 2, 3.
Okay, breathing. Yeah, describe that a bit. It's quite specific, isn't it?
It is. The technique involves consciously drawing energy up the top. He calls it the central tube, right to the top of the head. And then you hold it there with intention.
Holding the energy.
Yeah.
What's the actual purpose of doing that? Is it just focus or?
It's more physiological, actually. Two
Okay.
main things. One, you're getting more oxygen to the brain, kind of waking it up.
Okay.
And two, maybe more importantly, you're consciously shifting your nervous system, moving from that, fight or flight survival mode
Right, the stress response.
towards a state that's more relaxed, more present, more open to creation. It's about deliberately messing with the body's habitual energy flow.
So a physical act to shift the internal state and break the automatic pilot.
Okay.
Got it. What comes after that initial disruption?
After you start shaking things up with the breath, the next really crucial step, this is big in the week 3 meditation, is becoming aware, really aware
Aware of what specifically?
of the unwanted parts of the old self. The specific negative emotions, the limiting thoughts you keep having, the beliefs holding you back, the self-sabotaging behaviors. You have to identify them.
Bring them out of the dark, so to speak.
Exactly. Bringing the unconscious into the conscious light. But, and this is key, you have to do it in a particular way.
How so? Not judgmentally, I imagine.
Precisely. Observation without judgment. Like you're a scientist studying a phenomenon.
Yeah.
You step back, you witness these patterns, almost like they belong to someone else.
Becoming the observer.
Yes, you become the consciousness observing the program, not the program itself.
Yeah.
That separation is vital.
Okay. So awareness without judgment.
Yeah.
We see the old patterns. Then what? How do we actually detach from them?
Good question. The next phase is about breaking the emotional bonds to those patterns. And the week 3 meditation uses that interesting visualization.
Oh, the warm water one.
That's the one, imagining yourself submerged in warm water.
Yeah, I remember finding that really relaxing. Why that specific image?
Well, the warmth and suspension are meant to induce deep relaxation, obviously, but also a feeling of detachment, like you're separate from your body, separate from your usual environment, your problems.
Hmm.
The idea is to gently loosen the grip of those familiar emotions that tie you to past realities. You're freeing up the energy that's been locked in those old feelings and memories.
So it's not just remembering the past, it's like an energetic connection we need to release.
Exactly. And a part of that release in the same meditation involves actually stating out loud the emotion you want to let go of.
Right. Saying it. Why is speaking it important?
It makes it more concrete, more intentional. It's a conscious declaration. It engages more of your brain, your conscious mind, in the act of release. Makes it more powerful than just thinking it.
Okay, that makes sense. So identify, observe without judgment, detach using visualization, and declare the release. What's step 3?
Step 3 is quite profound, actually. It's about surrender. As outlined in week 3, you surrender that unwanted state of being
Surrender it to what?
to what Dispenza calls a universal consciousness or
Uh,
a greater mind.
Okay, universal consciousness. That can sound a bit abstract. How does he frame that? Is it like God or the universe or?
He often describes it as this invisible field of intelligence and energy, infinite potential that connects everything. But the key here is what surrender means in this context. It's not giving up. It's relinquishing the need to control how the change happens. You've identified the limitation you want to release. Now you trust that this greater intelligence can resolve it, orchestrate the solution, often in ways you couldn't predict.
So trusting the process, essentially. Believing that this power, as he describes it, is loving and will respond if you sincerely ask.
Yes, that's the essence of it. An act of trust, moving beyond just your own ego or conscious effort.
Okay, so after surrender, we're not just passive, right? We start actively building the new.
Exactly right. Step 4 is where you become the active creator. It's about consciously choosing the new self.
Okay.
The week 3 meditation really emphasizes this. Decide clearly who you no longer want to be, and then consciously choose your new identity. What new thoughts will you think? How will you behave? How do you want to feel?
And it has to be a definite choice, not just a wish.
Absolutely. A firm intention. You need to make that choice memorable, almost create an internal event around it. Feel it. This starts the process of literally rewiring your brain, building the neural pathways for that new self.
Making the new identity feel real to start embedding it. Now, you mentioned something earlier, the change game. What's that?
Ah, yes, step 5, the change game from week 3. This is a really practical reconditioning tool.
How does it work?
You mentally rehearse scenarios, situations where those old, unwanted feelings usually pop up.
Okay, like anticipating triggers.
Exactly. And the moment you feel that old emotion starting in your mental rehearsal, you interrupt it. You mentally shout or just strongly think, change.
Like hitting a mental pause button and redirecting.
Precisely. You're catching the automatic reaction before it takes hold. It reinforces your conscious decision and literally starts to prune away the old neural connections. You know the saying, nerve cells that no longer fire together no longer wire together.
Right, unwiring the old, wiring the new.
And it's not just stopping the old, it's about immediately choosing and feeling the new state. Thinking, acting, and feeling like that future self you've chosen, right there in that moment of change.
Mental rehearsal for being the new you. Okay, that's practical. What's the next step to make this new reality stick?
Step 6 moves into really living it. Week 4 meditation focuses heavily on this, signaling the body emotionally ahead of the actual experience.
Signaling the body emotionally. Explain that a bit more.
It means you don't wait for the external event, the success, the healing, the new relationship to feel the emotions associated with it. You proactively teach your body what it feels like to be empowered or free or healthy or wealthy now.
So generating the feeling first.
Yes. Cultivating those elevated emotions in the present moment. When your body starts to chemically and emotionally believe the future you want is happening now, it begins to change biologically to match that belief. It's not just thinking positive, it's feeling positive as if it's already real.
And this is where gratitude comes in strongly, isn't it?
Hugely important. That phrase, gratitude, means it's already done. Feeling genuinely grateful for your desired future as if it has already happened sends a powerful signal to your body and, according to Dispenza, to that universal field. It solidifies the new state.
Okay, feel the future now. Embody it with gratitude. How do we then translate that internal state into influencing our external reality?
That brings us to step 7, creating your new destiny. This is where, from that elevated state of mind and body you've cultivated, you start to consciously direct energy. The week 4 meditation talks about commanding matter.
Commanding matter. That sounds intense. How should we understand that? It's not like magic, presumably.
Haha, no, not like waving a wand. Think of it more like focusing your coherent energy and intention. When your thoughts and feelings are aligned and elevated, you're broadcasting a powerful electromagnetic signal. You then clearly visualize the future events you desire, see them in detail, and then you essentially bless them with that elevated energy, that feeling of it already being done. You're creating an energetic entanglement with that potential future.
So, concept it, see it, command it, hold it. That phrase comes to mind.
Exactly. It's about being the intentional designer of your future, sending out the signal for what you want to experience rather than just hoping or waiting.
Designing your destiny.
Okay.
Powerful stuff. And there's one final step, isn't there? Something about asking for a sign.
Yes. Step 8. This shows up in week 4 and also back in week 1 meditations. It's about asking that power within, that universal intelligence, for a sign.
A sign. Why ask for a sign?
It serves as confirmation, feedback, proof that your internal work is having an effect, that you've made contact, so to speak. It helps build faith and reinforces the connection.
What kind of sign are we talking about? Anything specific?
The key is to ask for something unexpected, something that you wouldn't just randomly encounter in your day-to-day life, something that makes you pause and go, whoa, okay, that was definitely it.
So it feels like a genuine response, not just wishful thinking or coincidence.
Exactly. It's framed as establishing a two-way communication, getting that little nod from the universe, you could say, that you're aligned and things are shifting.
A confirmation loop. Okay, wow. We've walked through quite a process there. Maybe we should quickly recap the main steps.
Good idea. So it starts with awareness, right? Seeing the old habitual self without judgment.
Right. Then disrupting those patterns, using breathwork to shift your energy.
Then surrendering those limitations to that greater mind, trusting the process.
Followed by consciously choosing the new self, making a firm decision.
Then reconditioning through mental rehearsal, that change game.
Then step 6, really embodying the feelings of the future now, using emotional signaling and gratitude.
Step 7, intentionally creating your destiny with visualization and elevated energy commanding matter.
And finally, step 8, asking for that unexpected sign as validation.
And pulling it all together, the core message is just so empowering, isn't it? That we're not just stuck with who we've been. We can consciously change our inner landscape, thoughts, feelings, state of being.
And by doing that, actually create a different outer reality.
Yeah.
Break the habit of being yourself and genuinely create a new one.
Exactly.
So final thought perhaps for you listening. Which specific habit of being yourself feels like one you might be ready to consciously dismantle? And using these kinds of principles, what kind of new future, what new reality could you start to design and feel into starting today? It really underscores the incredible power residing within our own internal state.